a.m. in the grand courtroom online and via on Zoom, with 2 members present and 1 virtual on the phone. Please join me this morning in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. This is a notice to the public. The Board of Supervisors welcomes comment from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You are requested to approach the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given an opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chairperson to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and/or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate, and a roll call vote will follow. I'll entertain motions on approval or amendment of the agenda, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the agenda as printed.
And I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as printed. Any discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Motion carries. This morning we have years of service recognition. Steve Stark at the Sheriff's Office for 20 years and Joe Brockman at the Sheriff's Office for 20 years. We'd like to congratulate them both and thank them for their service. Those are both very tough jobs out there. They do them admirably. We appreciate what they do, and hopefully they'll have many more. Next item on our agenda this morning is Edler Brothers Farm Selection, Section 36, Site Construction Permit Application, Public Hearing, Facility ID number 58297. At the public hearing, any resident may present objections to or arguments in favor of a construction permit application for the proposed expansion of the existing permitted animal confinement operation for Edler Brothers Farm Section 36 site. Were there any written comments that we have received?
There were 0.
0. Okay, we have 0 written comments, questions, or objections on file with the County Auditor's Office on the construction permit application of an existing animal feeding operation for Edler Brothers Farm Section Site 36. Of the individuals attending the public hearing this morning, is anybody going to present any oral comments or questions or objections? Okay. Other than elected officials, we have 2 individuals. Or do we
have
count
to
who
count
is also
those.
online?
So
Oh boy.
James, can you count the number of folks online?
Let's see. It says there are 16 participants online, but that includes myself and 1 for you guys down there. I'm kind of skimming through the list here. So I'd say if you said 14 online, not including myself and the meeting owl.
Well, we have to
add
include
these
you.
2.
That's
You're
a fair
person.
point. There you go.
We have the county one and Steve, so we'll take those 2 off. We'll say 14 plus 2 here is 16.
Okay.
Thanks, James.
You got it.
Of 16 individuals at public hearing, nobody presented oral comments or questions. That being said, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
We're going to correct that to 17.
17?
Yes.
Okay.
I would make a motion to close the hearing at 9:09 a.m.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing at 9:09. Discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Okay. Public hearing is closed. On to item number 4 on our agenda this morning is resolution number 2020-0024. This is a resolution for Edler Brothers Farm Section Site 36 application for construction permit for proposed expansion on an existing animal confinement feeding operation, facility ID number 58297. The construction permit application of existing animal confinement feeding operation for Edler Brothers Farm Section 36 was published in the Marshalltown Times-Republican, Marshalltown, Iowa, July 8, 2020, and the Mid-Iowa Enterprise State Center on July 9, 2020. There were 0 written comments or questions or objections on file at the auditor's office, and there were 17, or did we go? 17 individuals attending the public hearing, of which there were 0 comments or objections at the hearing. Now therefore be it resolved by the Marshall County Board of Supervisors to recommend approval by the Department of Natural Resources on the construction permit application of the existing animal confinement feeding operation for Edler Brothers Farm Section 36 site, dated Marshalltown, Iowa, this 21st day of July. I'll entertain motions for adoption of this resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to adopt resolution 2020-0024, Edler Brothers Farm, Section 36, site application for construction permit for proposed expansion on an existing animal confinement feeding operation facility ID 58297.
And I would second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. Any discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 5 on our agenda this morning is Tri-Oak Foods, Marco Pork, LP Site Construction Permit Application, Public Hearing, Facility ID number 61016. At the public hearing, any resident may present objections or arguments in favor of a construction permit, application, or proposed expansion of an existing permitted animal confinement feeding operation for Tri-Oak Foods, Marco Pork, LP site. Were there any written comments or questions or objections on file with the county auditor's
There are
office?
0.
We have 0. Okay, we have the same 17 individuals attending the public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to present oral comments, questions, or objections? We have none. Okay, I'll entertain motions to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to close the hearing at 9:12 a.m.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Okay. On to item 6 on our agenda this morning, resolution number 2020-0025. Resolution is for Tri-Oak Foods Incorporated, Marco Pork, application for construction permit, confinement feeding operation facility, ID 61016. This is for a confinement operation to reduce to 3,167.20 animal units, 4,922 head of gestating swine, 976 head of farrowing swine, 1,882 head of swine gilts, and 552 head of nursery swine, located in Section 20 of Liberty Township. The construction permit application of existing animal confinement feeding operation from Tri-Oak Foods, Marco Pork, was published in the Marshalltown Times-Republican on in Marshalltown, Iowa, July 9th, 2020, and the Mid-Iowa Enterprise State Center, Iowa, on July 9th, 2020. Were there any written comments or questions or objections on file in the auditor's office?
0.
Still wasn't any. And we still have 17 people.
Yes.
Of those 17 people, there is one more opportunity to voice any comments, objections, or questions. There being none, there were none. So therefore, be it resolved by the Marshall County Board of Supervisors to recommend approval by the Department of Natural Resources on the construction permit application of the existing animal confinement feeding operation from Tri-Oak Foods Incorporated, Marco Pork, dated at Marshalltown, Iowa, this 21st day of July, 2020. I'll entertain motions for adoption of this resolution.
I'd make a motion to adopt resolution 2020-0025, Tri-Oaks Foods Incorporated Marco Pork application for construction permit for proposed expansion on an existing animal confinement feeding operation, facility ID number 61016.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. Any discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Okay, on to the next item is our consent agenda. Item 7 is approval of the minutes from regular session of July 7th, 2020. Appointment commencing July 21st, 2020 to the Civil Service Commission. We appoint Maureen Lyons to fulfill at the unexpired term of Cindy Schulte, effective July 21st, 2020 through December 31st of 2022. Accepting the auditor's quarterly report, April 2020 through June 2020, e-records management, $1,654, e-commerce fund, $1,654, general basic fund, $57,219.50, file clerk of district court report, June of 2020, general supplemental fund surcharge, $509.50, and approved claims. Approved claims is audited and authorize the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of the same. The listing of claims paid at this meeting and all claims paid in the month of July will be published as part of the first meeting in August. I'll entertain motions, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the consent agenda as printed.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
We also have our cash counts from the treasurer from June 30th, 2020. I am not going to read all these things. Everybody has got them in their agenda and it will be filed. As this is the money is counted by the treasurer's office, the sheriff's office, Veterans Affairs, and the auditor recorder's office, Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. I'll entertain motions to accept the results of the cash count.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to accept the results of the cash count conducted on June 30th of 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
I will go back and read one final thing, is that the cash count total is $29,141,247.34. So it's pretty substantial. We do have a tabled item from the 7/7/20 BOS meeting.
I do not have any more information. Gentleman that was in charge of talking to me had a death in Arkansas, and we have not gotten together.
Then, gentlemen, shall we leave this as a
Yes.
tabled item?
I would suggest that.
Because we can bring
I
it up.
agree.
We can bring it up at any meeting in the future, back from the table.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna call him on his cell phone and
Okay.
talk about it at that time.
Well, let's leave item number 13 tabled until we have further information from the Masonic Temple on the lease, and we'll go from there. Item 14 on our agenda this morning is approval of the lease agreement. This will be discussion and possible action to approve a lease agreement between Marshall County, Iowa and the Iowa Valley Community College District for the Orthum Theater, 220 East Main Street. This lease agreement is for temporary office space for the Marshall County Courts to hold court proceedings as a result of COVID-19 to assist with proper social distancing. Nan, you want to give us an update on this?
Yes, this lease, the college has been absolutely fantastic working with us and with the courts, getting this set up. We are paying $1 rent for the entire term so that we can get the insurance properly set up. And we will be paying the utilities, but we didn't have to do the switch of utilities. They'll continue getting the bills and they'll just bill us. And they're just going to do it quarterly. And
Are we going to pay the total utilities on the building
we
or
are
just the
paying,
increase?
we are paying the total because that's what they've done on all of their other facilities. I asked the question, and they wanted to be consistent to what they provided to the other folks. They did this for a couple facilities up on the Ellsworth campus as well.
Okay. Well, it's
So-
always free to ask.
It's always free to ask, and I did, and they, but they're being very good to work with.
Yeah.
And they did have to take a lot of memorabilia off the walls. The courts just were nervous about it, even though there was cameras and things there. So they had to go to a lot of work to do this for us. So it's greatly appreciated, and I think it's going to be a fabulous space where they can really social distance nicely.
It's not.
Nan, have they removed those pictures and so forth?
Yes, they were, they had a little issue and their main building and grounds person was on vacation last week, so that kind of delayed all of this a bit too. But some of the, a couple of the court staff went in there and just said, there's just so many neat things here on the walls. It just made them very nervous about it. And,
I agree.
you know, we've got security staff there. There were cameras on all that stuff as well, but that
It's
doesn't
easier
always,
to prevent.
it doesn't always get it back. So
Yeah.
it's just a safe, so they had to wrap it in bubble wrap and do a lot to properly store them. And they did all of that. So
So the dollar rent is for the entire,
for the entire
Sure.
duration, yes. I'll be taking the dollar check out to the college. So we make sure it,
okay, doesn't get lost. Huh?
it doesn't, well, it's such a, small amount that it could get sat on somebody, the wrong person's desk, and I'll get it out there to Kathy Pink.
Okay, I'll entertain motions to approve the lease agreement between Marshall County, Iowa and the Iowa Valley Community College District Orthum Theater for use by Marshall County Courts.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the lease agreement between Marshall County, Iowa and Iowa Valley Community College District Orphan Theater for use by Marshall County Courts.
And I would second that.
Any further discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes?
Patton.
Yes,
Motion carries. Item 15 on our agenda this morning is secondary road equipment purchase. Discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of a CAT 12M3 AWD motor grader from Ziegler CAT in Altoona, Iowa for $205,500. This unit will be paid from the fiscal year 2021 equipment budget. Paul, are you available to give us an update on this?
Yes. This unit, it's coming in on trade to Ziegler from City of Duluth. And it's, like I say, it's a 2015, but it only has 1,200 hours on it. So for us, it would have around a year's worth of time, on it. And we looked at it as a good fit for us because we've got a few operators that are still using the joystick only machines. And we aren't really thinking that we want to take the 140Ms, which are joystick operated, and put them on the fence for part-timers to use, because there's a real good possibility that if somebody comes in to do part-time work moving snow, that they've never operated a joystick machine. So it doesn't fit us very well to keep those in the used fleet. And so this is a way we can rotate out one of the higher hour 140Ms and still have a good, reliable machine for an operator that's actually used to the joystick and likes to use them.
So we will not be trading anything off of our fleet into this?
Yes, we're going to trade our oldest 140M that actually is a 2008 that has just over 14,000 hours on it. And so this machine will be, it's just broke in. Even though it's 5 years old, it's practically new.
Paul, I'm pretty close to Duluth up here. Do you want me to drive it back?
This machine's actually already down at Altoona, and they're going to deliver it tomorrow if you guys give me the approval.
Okay, very good.
So Bill gets to drive it back from Altoona.
It's got a pretty good road gear, but I wouldn't like to take that trip.
The cats, do they have a steering wheel or do they have levers?
These are just joystick operated on the this 12M3. And the other nice thing is that this unit is also the all-wheel drive, so it serves us better in running V
Got
plow.
that opportunity then.
Okay, unless we have further discussion, I'll entertain motions to approve this purchase, please.
I would make a motion to approve this purchase.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this purchase. Any further discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 15 on our agenda this morning is approval of medical documents regarding Marshall County ordinance and law. Mediation documents, I'm sorry. This is discussion and possible action to approve mediation documents regarding the Marshall County ordinance and law coverage. Dan?
This is just to continue our conversations with our insurance companies, and this is just one of our steps.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I would move then to approve the documents and authorize the chairman to sign.
And I would second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Okay. Item 16 on our agenda this morning is discussion on continuing to have the door monitor at the bank for county offices and for how long. Dan, you want to bring us up to speed on this?
Okay, we've been doing the door monitor since we did our soft opening, June 24th. And then we officially put the media request out in early July. We still have the times similar to when all of us were in the bank, where from about 11 to 1 is really busy. First thing in the morning usually is as well, and then the end of the day, probably from about 3 or 3:30 till the end of the day. We haven't really had any, I'd say, aggravated customers. I think folks are getting more used to wearing masks full time, but I will tell you, we are giving out masks as well. We are asking 3 health-related questions. We are not documenting on paper so that we don't have to comply with any HIPAA notifications, retention, all of that type of thing. So I just wanted to get a feel from you all. If we didn't have the door monitor, we would have people coming in without masks. I will just say that.
Yes, I would agree.
We did kind of ask the staff, the ones that are, I'd say, working out more out in the front lines a little bit more, and the folks in my office that are in those offices as well. And we did have several of the staff that wanted the mask to remain required. They appreciated that and felt safer.
We noticed that about 60, maybe 70% of the people that come into our operation are wearing masks. So honestly, the vast majority of the public is.
We've handed out about 1,500 of them
1,500
so far. I've been pretty lucky buying them since I got the approval on Amazon for the PPE purchases. I did get 500 of them for $130. We are not buying the high grade mask. Obviously, it's a mask to put on to come in and do their thing and go. But I think it's getting out there more. I also noticed that a lot more retailers are, they're now required at Walmart and Sam's Club. You get those retailers now requiring it. Makes a big difference. I took the afternoon off yesterday and went shopping, and many stores had that on their door that it was required. So it's kind of the wave of the future. I keep thinking that maybe when we get a little further down the road, that it'll just become a standard and we won't have to have someone there at the door, but.
Does the door monitor have any difficulty with groups coming in?
Yes, there's some that, and we, for passport purposes, families will come in. There are still a few that have to bring their children. We've not put masks on kids 2 and under. We've left them open, but everybody else, if it's a 6 or 7-year-old, they're having them wear them too.
What's the recommendation of you and the treasurer? Because your offices are the ones that face the majority of the forward-facing offices.
Because we both had staff wanting them, I think right now we'd like to keep the door monitor there. Currently, we have the schedule. We made it through July 31st. Obviously, we meet again, it's early August, so we wanted to know whether we needed to at least schedule another week or 2 until we get to another meeting and just see how the climate is then. If that's okay with you, we'll do that.
I would concur with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is discussion only, but
Yeah,
I would
keep going.
recommend just keep going with the status quo.
We'll
at
let
this time.
Blaze get schedule a couple more weeks, and we appreciate that. It's just guidance for us on what direction we need to go for the county. So appreciate that.
Steve?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask, do we still have the budget dollars to pay for somebody at the door, don't we? We're able to come up with, I think we're spreading it out between 3 or 4 different departments. Am I right?
Actually, Mary found a spot that was in a kind of a one that you guys maintain. It's a general budget one. We don't have a ton of money there, but she said we can always do a budget amendment to move some things around down the road.
Okay.
I think
So this is something we probably.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We can probably bring this up every 2 weeks then at our regular board meeting to discuss and reevaluate.
That's kind of my plan, is to just kind of keep it out there, and so we can keep evaluating. I mean, I feel like times even now from our last board meeting with the number of retailers that are requiring masks, it's changed a lot in 2 weeks. So I would prefer to revisit this each 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That sounds good. Are the numbers in Marshall County continuing to rise? I've been out of the loop, so.
We have 193 current cases.
I can tell you that about 21 days ago is when the IDPH adjusted how they calculate active cases. And they said, if you haven't reported back to us within 28 days, we're going to take you off the list. And that's when we decreased from up around the 400s down to, I think, 83. And that was on June 30th, so about 21 days ago. In that amount of time, we've gone from 83 cases back up to 186 cases, which is something like, 24% increase over the last 20-some days of active cases.
Okay. All right. Thanks, James.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to our next agenda item. Okay. Item 17, this is a discussion. We have Kevin Marks, a local resident, wants to discuss the concerns regarding the use of Marshall County property on Garmin Road. Kevin, are you with us this morning?
Can you see?
Hello?
There you are.
Kevin?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Would you please let us know what your concerns are this morning?
Well, my concerns are this morning, we've got a nearby neighbor there, the Waters, that have got their boys riding dirt bikes across the property, doing donuts, and not just the boys, it brought other public in there during the 4th of July, shooting fireworks, a lot of drinking and stuff involved. They, in fact, have informed me that they have written permission from the county to be on it, to ride on it at will, but you can't build on it or garden on it. Well, I found that out here, a couple of years ago when I've been managing it. The last 4 years, they also state that the county has never given me any permission to manage it. I don't care if they want to mow it, that's fine. The county, Marshall Town, has a place called Nicholson Ford for dirt bikes to ride, accompanied by adults when they're underage. These boys, like the way I understand it, the oldest one is 14. Dad can ride, mom can ride with the child at Nicholson Ford legally, safely, and not put the county liable. They're not just riding through the county property. They're running up and down through the ditch, jumping over top of the field drives, and then coming into my property and running over bushes, plants, and what have you like that. And it's went too far. I contact the sheriff's office when they're on my property. The sheriff's office informed me that someone from the Board of Supervisors needs to contact them, that it's not a riding park. So unless I've misunderstood things wrong, I talked to the DNR. Legally, it can't be in the ditch. Legally, they can't be in that county property, the way DNR's telling me. So I don't know what you guys' standings are for riding on there, someone getting hurt. But if it's good for one person, we just will open it up for everybody else to ride in there then. That's what I feel.
The only permission that I'm aware of we've ever given anybody for this property is permission of one of the neighboring landowners to maintain it as far as cutting the grass on it so that it all looked the same. And there is a signed document giving them that permission and them giving us a release from anything that would happen when they're on there. As far as I'm aware of, in the time I've been here that we've acquired that property, we haven't given anybody else permission to do anything on it, whether it was a garden or anything else. Okay. Bill, do you remember anything?
I was going to say, all I ever had was just a verbal agreement with one of the Board of Supervisors, just verbal, and all I did was to maintain it just so it would look halfway presentable. And then they said that would be good, just the fact that we wouldn't have to come in there and mow it. I tried to obtain it, I tried to buy it, but I couldn't buy it because of the technicality of it.
And we can never sell the property because we acquired it.
Right, I understand that. But all I'm saying is, do we want to address this issue? Public use of four-wheelers and dirt bikes running through it and fireworks, should it be posted of some sort that we need to stay off of it?
It was never intended to be a park.
No, I was looking on my computer.
That's where it's going right now. We got juvenile individuals right now riding on it. We've got adults drinking. If you understand what I'm going to say, a Ford Ranger or the Ranger ATVs. I seen one going in there, a little kid just barely hanging on the back end, flying off the highway. First of all, they can't drive on the highway. That's something that you can't control like that. But Marshall County is one of the, I talked to DNR, Marshall County is one of the counties that doesn't allow them to ride through the ditches or the highways. And the first concern he said was, is this a farmer? Can you drive? And the farmer has a little different deal. He can go to the fields and stuff like that. And he says, there's any designated trails, state trails there? And he says, no. But he's going to watch it. But I still feel that someone should contact the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office is kind of ignorant on this. They sent a guy out there with a little green, and I don't think he really knew what to say. But I understand his point. I can't sit there and say stay off it, it has to come from the county to stay off it. It can't come from me or the next door neighbor. It just needs to stop before someone gets hurt.
I am unable to find the document on my computer here, but I agree with David. All it says on that document is that you can mow it and keep it so that it's similar or the same as the property that you own. There is no payment on that, but at the end of the year, you can turn in the number of hours that you've worked, what that cost is, and anything like that. And then we sign it, and you can use that on your tax deductions. That's all there is.
Oh.
There's no payment or anything.
Yeah. No, I never asked for money. I've never asked for
No, I
money.
understand. I'm just going through this so people listening understand.
Yeah, okay, okay.
There's also no permission to use this property, only to maintain it. So I would say the supervisors have a job here to do, and we will talk about that and accomplish it.
I think we can simply contact the sheriff's department and let them know that other than the individual that we have a signed document to do the lawn mowing, so it matches their property, that anybody else is not allowed on it.
Yep. If we have to, I guess we can put up a fence and put switchgrass or brome or something out there, and then all the deer will come and live.
Okay,
I have
Kevin, do you have any other comments or questions? And we'll work on this from our end.
Yeah, I have no problem him mowing it. I don't have a problem if just share mowing it. I have no problem with that. That's just one less thing I got to do. You know.
Now, Kevin, if I remember right, you're not the individual that has the permission to mow. It's the other neighbors.
Okay, but I mowed it for 4 years. But that
I know
okay,
you did.
but I know I did. But is someone going to contact? Are we going to post it then to make the public aware that he doesn't bring all of his friends and neighbors down there for drinking parties and fireworks and what have you all?
I don't know if we're going to post it or just notify the sheriff, and we'll have to work that out through the Board of Supervisors.
Yeah.
For
This individual's not stopping right there. They are putting stuff on Messenger and messaging my wife and threatening her and stuff. I've got stuff that electronically logged in mine right there where she states that she has permission. She thinks she has permission. It's went to a different level now. It was just run over my bushes and stuff like that. I've lost a couple $100 worth of bushes that them kids are running around like that. They're romping through there like that. They think they own it. They think they own it. Nobody owns it. I can't own it. The county's the only one that owns it right now, the way I understand it. But it has went to a different level where they are threatening me. I've got it all on my phone where they have sent messages across electronically. But I would like to have this taken care of.
That's an item that if they're making those threats, you need to take that to the proper authorities.
Well, I have not yet, but I'm in the process right now. I have a lot of things on my plate right now, and this is so minor. It just off the property, mow it, manage it, make it look okay. That's fine.
Okay.
Well, Kevin, we thank you for coming, and we'll do our due diligence on this thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
On to item 18 this morning is discussion and a little bit of an update on the EMS and fire radio project. I know Bill's been working on this, and we have Rhonda here from our 911 center, our communications director. You guys want to bring us up to date where you're at?
I'll start in with an idea that I thought I had, was that to hang some of the newer equipment on the old towers while we're building the new tower, so that if the fire departments have the ability to buy these radios sooner than we have the tower done, then they could be used. Well, I wanted to talk to some engineers on that. Had an opportunity though to talk with Diana Richardson, and we talked quite a while about that. And she kind of talked me out of that particular notion, saying that that doesn't and wouldn't work the best. And or maybe not work at all. So we're back to making sure that our budget is going to be able to handle the original down payment of the new tower. And there's 15% down when you sign the contract, 15% when they start their engineering work. So there's some money up front. Now, if the company would allow us to sign a promise on a piece of paper that if we could start with the engineering on this thing right away, this thing could be sped up quite a little. I have not discussed that. I don't think that's a good possibility, but we need to look at all the possibilities. And what I'm wondering about too, the state code is very, very exact on how we have to run our budgets. If we borrow money and then spend it, that has to be in the budget. Has to be in both sides of the budget, income and then expense. I would assume this is the same for the fire departments. If they're going to borrow money to buy radios, I would bet that's the same way. And they're going to be still talking about July 1 of 2021 also. And that's what one of the things I thought about. There is a potential site out in the western part, west central, west northwest part of the county, near St. Anthony, and that has not been cleared with the landowner, but you got to start somewhere. And the engineering says that site would work well. So that's one of the next steps we need to be looking at. And that would be the supervisor's job.
I think some of the possible confusion on this item when we first started discussing this way back in December was we were so far into the budgeting process that we just weren't able to get any funds into our system before we had to certify and do the other items on the budget. At that time, we said that we could probably do this in a 3-year period because it was an 18-month build out where we could possibly do it in 3 different budget sections. And I think there was confusion that maybe some of the individuals thought that those funds were in our system. Well, when we approve our budget, it is revenues and it is disbursements. And once it is certified, that is the legal amount that you are allowed to spend. You can't go over it. Well, you could. However, you're going to get called on the carpet by the state of Iowa during our audits, and then we wind up on the front page of the paper for something that isn't real good, and that's just not a real good idea. That being said, I believe that if we could come up with some sort of an agreement to speed this process up between us and Raycom, where, as Bill said, we could possibly forego those down payments, because at the time we were discussing this, we did make the commitment that we would build the towers, but we had no contracts or no information that there would be a 20% down payment here and then another payment when the equipment was purchased and then the site and the rest of us. We just thought we had an 18-month build out. So I think there was possibly some misunderstandings on maybe both sides of the equation. But that being said, there is no doubt that all three supervisors, from the county's perspective, we are going to acquire and build these towers. The pagers and the radios will be at the expense of the incorporated communities and the respective township fire departments that work with them. And we're probably ready to get going on some of this, except for the financial end of it. So I think if we can maybe work with Raycom and some other things and get this worked out in the next period of weeks, we can maybe make some further progress on this in this fiscal year.
Our budget too had never had anything in the budget from the very beginning of 911. Our budget never had anything in there to buy and pay for equipment for 911. Our budget carried, along with the city's budget, the amount of money for staff, their salaries, their insurance, their retirement. That came from our budget, but our budget never ever bought equipment. So this is a whole new deal for us. And we got to get it put in the budget. And as Dave said, this is a little timely matter.
Gentlemen, this is Diana with Raycom. If I could speak for just a second. First of all, I want to thank you. We've had a lot of good conversations over the last couple of weeks with clarification on detail of that infrastructure contract. And I appreciate everything you're doing to investigate it and thoroughly discern everything in the contract and look to get this done as soon as possible. So I would love to take this discussion offline to sit down and look at how we can make it happen sooner than later. I think we all are on the same page with that. So
Diana, when you and I talked earlier this last week when I was up in Wisconsin, I said when I got back and was able to get the calendar cleared that you and I would get together either on a Zoom meeting like this or by phone or in person and try and work out some of these details so that we can get this off of dead center. Why don't we try and do that in the next 3 to 4 weeks and go from there? I don't know what your schedule is. I got a fairly decent idea what mine is, but this is something we could do over the phone as long as we had the documents, both of us in our hands and make some changes. And then I can work with that with my fellow supervisors and they can all three look at the changes. Obviously, all three of us can't do it at one time with you because that would be a violation of open meeting laws. I think it would be better if you worked with just one of the supervisors on this and we go from there.
Yeah, we can all call her and ask her questions.
And everybody can be in contact with you, just not all at once.
okay, that's fine. And I'd be happy to meet with you in person. Then if you want to sit down and go through the paperwork, we can do it at corporate or location of your choice. And I'll make my schedule work around yours.
And then I know you've asked from time to time on having an attorney look over the documents. We're going to have to find out of house attorney for this because of the spousal relationship between the owner of Raycom and our county attorney, our husband and wife. And we just need to protect both sides there. So we'll probably be having Allers and Cooney law firm down in Des Moines, who does a lot of our work, look over this contract and go from there.
Very good. Very good. Okay, I look forward to hearing from you then.
Bill or Rhonda, you want to bring up anything else in this?
No, I think this is what we have to do to get this thing started. And then at the same time, I hope that the fire departments in the cities are also talking about this so that if it's not on their budget, it's got to get on their budget. I'm sure they run on the same rules that we do.
Yes, they're addressing that with each of the departments. So I know that that's in process and I'm staying in touch with them on that end as well.
And I know that Brad Fons had been working with the other departments on what type of financial requirements they were going to need, if any.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he hasn't gotten back to us with that information, so I don't know what there are. We also did make the offer, if necessary, that the county would be the financing mechanism for all of these departments if they wanted to borrow the money through the county, but that those entities would be responsible for all costs involved, interest expenses, any bonding fees, any annual fees from the bonding company, and they can take as long as they want to repay it. At the same time, I've spoken with a number of individuals from different departments that they felt they either didn't need to borrow the money or that they may be able to get superior terms from their local financial institutions. So I don't know where Brad Fonts is on that.
Yeah, he's working on gathering all that. There's a lot of discussions to be had, so he's trying to get it done as quickly as he can. And we're keeping in touch on that as he gathers the information. So hope to have that all put together soon. It's one of the things that in any project probably is more cumbersome than any others, because you've got so many people to touch base with, the mayors, the chiefs, and all the different localities. So he's working fervently to get that all gathered together.
Well, welcome to our world.
I sat down.
Can you hear me? This
Yes.
is Steve. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I had conversation with the Marshalltown police or fire chief here in the last week, and he said he has had some fire chiefs from some of the communities come to him and were asking about how we were going to work the borrowing of money from the county. And I guess we really haven't discussed that yet. Are we? First of all, I visited with our county treasurer, and he suggested that what was there the intention of going through Jeff Heil to do this, or again, we haven't had any discussion.
Not necessarily Jeff Heil, but we would go through somebody to be able to use it as a funding mechanism. I guess a question I need to bring up is why on earth would the fire chiefs be going to the police chief of the city of Marshalltown rather than to
Fire chief. I think he must-
Why to the fire chief of Marshalltown rather than Marshall County to ask the questions?
I think they were just having a casual conversation, and so he was just letting me know what what was being asked right now. But yeah, you're right, that we need to come directly to us.
Because to my understanding, Brad Fonts, who is the head of their Fire Chiefs Association, had been heading this up and explaining this to everybody and disseminating the information. I think part of what we've got as a problem here is there's too many people getting ideas and information from maybe not the sources that are 100% accurate.
Well, and I want everyone to understand that the county is not lending the money. The county is only helping you borrow the money from a bonding institution, and then you pay it.
Yes, we'll be facilitating the borrowing, no different than the unincorporated community of Green Mountain wants to do an addition and an upgrade to their facilities. We will be borrowing the money. They will be repaying the money from not only their township fire department, but the other townships that are on the bordering areas. Marshall County is not going into debt for this. We are the borrowing mechanism, but the individual cities and fire departments that borrow for these radios and pagers, they are the ones going into debt. We're just facilitating the ability to do it.
And that's the way I've understood it from the very beginning. So maybe we need to get that word out and to verify to everyone that that's the way it's going to be.
Well, I appreciate that sentiment, but we've had very many people, including the chiefs of several cities, the mayors from several cities, and fire departments on these Zoom meetings, and we've been crystal clear from day one that this debt that is going to be incurred is by them, and we're just facilitating it. So I'm really kind of wondering why there's some confusion out there.
Their choice is not to use it and go to their local lender.
Exactly.
And I've had fire chiefs tell me that's what they're going to do.
Because quite frankly, going to their local lender in all actuality is probably going to be cheaper because there will not be any bonding fees, no legal fees for the bonding attorneys to set things up. We're only offering this as a mechanism if necessary. And quite frankly, I think the best thing is probably going to end up for the individual departments to seek their own funding. It will probably be much more financially prudent for them to do so. Anything else before we go on to another item?
No.
Okay. Steve, anything else?
No, not on my end.
Okay. Diana or anybody else you want to kick in before we go on to something else?
No, I'm good. I thank you, and I will look forward to discussions with you, sir.
Okay. Are we crystal clear on this financing now?
Yeah, I understand that. I think it's, yeah, well,
Okay.
they can take that message back to the fire chiefs.
All righty.
Thank you.
That being said, if there's no more discussion, let's work on to item number 19. This is discussion only from Terry Ebke. He's a representative from Legal Shield, ID Shield, and he will give a very brief presentation on the services that he would like to offer to Marshall County employees.
Good
Terry, are
morning.
you with us?
Yes, I am. And can you hear me okay?
We can.
Excellent.
Before you get going too quickly, I'd like to hear from Nan, because do we already have these services available to our employees?
Yes, we do have a similar, I think this is kind of an identity protection option for our staff. And that is something we do offer currently at 100% cost to the employee. That's not something that we supplement as an employer.
Oh, what's that?
Yep, Terry, you're back on.
Terry, are you back on?
I am here.
Okay,
Oh, no.
go ahead.
All righty. Did the documents that I had submitted earlier, did you get a copy of those, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just run through those and reference those different pages. And as you look at the Have You Ever sheet that's a title at the top of the page, and this would be something to think about from an employee's perspective, is have they ever needed their will prepared or updated, signed a contract, received a moving traffic violation, worried about becoming a victim of identity theft, or being concerned about child identity theft, or lost your wallet. The services that we offer as an employee benefit that can be 100% paid for by the employee. And if the county at any point would want to contribute, that would be something that we could entertain at that time and process. But the pricing that is down at the lower left-hand corner of that particular sheet is what I'll reference first. And the Legal Shield for a family covers the member spouse or partner, and children who are up until the age of 26 living at home or going to college. If they're a guardianship situation, the children are covered up until the age of 18. If there's a child who's mentally or physically challenged, as long as they're dependent, they are covered by this plan. Then there's pricing that shows there for either or both of the services. When there's a combined family program with Legal Shield and ID Shield, there's a pretty good discount that is showing there. And then for the individual, it covers the, for the ID Shield, it covers the member spouse or partner, and up to 10 children under the age of 18. So these are a large number of people who are covered by any of these plans. I'll then go into the sheet that talks about the Legal Shield, and this would be for the ability for the employee to call an attorney at any time they have a question, pick up the phone, call an attorney, ask any legal question, and they don't get a bill for it. It's just a membership that they pay that through a payroll deduct. And as it notes, and you can see a lot of the different coverages there, but to be able to call in and get the advice and consultation representation, part of the service. We talked about the estate planning documents being available as soon as they have a membership, that they can get a will, living will, healthcare power of attorney, and a financial power of attorney, all prepared as a part of this membership. They're represented in court in case they're sued, in case they have an audit, in case they have a traffic ticket. These are all different benefits that are available through this Legal Shield plan. Some quick examples about that, personal examples, is that I had a traffic ticket in Tennessee where I was pulled over, and because I had Legal Shield, I was able to contact our provider law firm in Iowa, who got me in touch with the law firm in Tennessee, and they were able to represent me in court without me traveling back to Tennessee. And they were able to, because of some errors in the way the ticket was written up, everything ended up being dismissed. A separate situation, we were at a hotel in St. Louis. We had a break-in in our car in the parking lot, and we had found out that the attorneys could use the law that was available to us. And as we learned many times, it's if you don't know your rights, you don't really have them. But we found out we had rights because our car was parked in that hotel's parking lot, and we were able to get some resolution there. A small item, I ordered a book online and for $25, and it didn't come. When I tried to track it down on why I wasn't receiving it, I found out that they don't have a tracking service, but at the same time, they didn't want to send me a replacement book or refund me. By calling the attorney, they were able to make a call, and I got a credit back on my credit card. So it would be very ignorant of me to have spent $250 an hour to get a $25 book resolution. But we do everything from the very minor to the very big stuff with Legal Shield.
Okay. Well, Terry, appreciate your time this morning. I think what we'll have to do is, do we have a contract with this other company that already provides this services to our employees? And if so, is it for like a year period of time, or?
I would need to check on that. And I don't have any of the documents that he provided.
Okay, they were on an email that came into us. And I can forward them to you.
Okay.
Terry, I tell you what we're going to do. I don't know if we wanted to hear what your services were this morning. We've got your fee structure. We've got everything else. We will provide that to the auditor recorder. We will look and see if there's a current contract that is with our employees and that entity that's providing those services that we already have. And we can go from there. But for right now, this was for a discussion and a presentation period this morning at only. So we can't take any action, but we can look into this, and we'll be in touch.
All right. With the services that you have, is that for both legal and identity theft, or just one or the other?
I believe it's for both.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I'm
I
not
know
100.
we've got will prep one way through our EAP. And so it's kind of some different benefits from different providers.
But this is one of these things that is not provided at an expense to the county. So it really needs to go through our employee group, and they can decide if it's something that they want to pursue or not, because it would be 100% at the employee's expense. So this would not be a decision that would be made by the Board of Supervisors. It would be a decision that would be made by our employees group.
Okay, that sounds awesome. And if they would like to get together via Zoom or in person or whatever, we can plan a time to do that, to answer questions and help in so that their evaluation can be looking at both sides and see what would be best for the employees going forward. So I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day, and don't get any more tickets out there.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 20 on our agenda this morning is we're going to have Lisa Gassman give us a little update on the census. The census is something we highly encourage everybody to fill out if they haven't. They do it online, and it's important that people fill out their censuses because much of the federal funding that comes down is based upon our population count. Lisa, would you give us an update, please?
You betcha. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Now we can't.
Oh, now we can't. Lisa, you're muted.
How's that?
There we go.
Hear
Now
me
you're
now?
on.
Okay. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I gave you, at your Board of Supervisor meeting, an update as to where we were on the census, and I have good news to report today that since the last 2 weeks, our self-response rates have gone up. It's a slight uptick, but it's still up. And I always like to give a shout out to those small towns who have increased their self-response. So let me just give a shout out to Albion, Gilman, LeGrand, Rose, State Center, and Marshalltown this last couple weeks for people getting online or by phone or by mail. They're getting their census filled out, which is terrific. If you remember at the last meeting, as soon as we signed off, I was going to be meeting with John Cook, our Census Bureau representative for the area. And they have a new thing beginning. In fact, it started last week. It's called a mobile questionnaire assistant. And what that is they're actually providing census takers at various locations where the self-response is low. In our particular county, the self-response is low specifically in that northeast area of Marshalltown. Now that's not unlike the low response that we had back in 2010 as well. But what this mobile questionnaire assistance is going to do is the census takers are going to locate themselves in this tract, this northeast tract of Marshalltown, to try to get out there and actually help people get them to fill out their census. And so what we've done is we've asked various businesses in this northeast section of town if it would be okay with them to have some census takers present at their location to assist those people in filling out their census. We're really excited. JBS has given permission to allow some of these Spanish-speaking census takers to come in there all next week from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. To assist those people, employees of JBS, to fill out their census if they haven't. I'm hoping that the next time we get together and talk about census, that we're going to have some increased numbers. Not only are they going to go to JBS next week, but they are also going to be located at Casey's, Haley's, the La Facendad business there on 3rd Avenue, possibly Dairy Queen, and we did get permission that they can be located here at the Great Western Bank. We're not sure what those dates are yet, but at least the permissions have been gotten, and so the next step is just to do the scheduling. So that's kind of the update.
Well, thank you. We appreciate all your hard work on this.
You bet.
On to item 21, which is acceptance of a real estate gift this morning. At this time, I will be taking off my hat as county supervisor and will be addressing the board on behalf of my family, my wife and I, about a donation if they approve it. Marshalltown has always been a community with a great deal of pride. Unfortunately, since the tornado that devastated our town, we have all felt our community struggle with the hardships of the recovery. We personally have shared in the joy of the renewal and have been touched by the continuing loss of homes, buildings, and businesses. Our downtown bears the scars of this loss, not just the buildings and their history, but also the local businesses and the jobs that they have created. When we first heard that the old fire station was going to be sold, my family and I talked about options to rehabilitate this property. We wanted to find a way to ensure years of productive use for an asset that has served Marshalltown for so many decades. Obviously, we saw its potential for our business, But we also quickly recognized that with so many buildings being torn down, other small businesses were facing the challenges. Additionally, as county supervisor, I have witnessed firsthand how our ever-growing needs have outpaced the limited spaces in our courthouse. Therefore, with our recent acquisition of the old fire station, we have decided to turn it into a multi-use facility. The southern half of the structure we will be using as part for storage and future expansion of our business, while renting out the office space area to help retain local downtown businesses and other businesses that have expressed an interest in it. The northern half of the property, which is the area where the fire department slept upstairs and where the 4 main bays were downstairs, the north half of the property, if the county so chooses, we will be donating it to Marshall County to help ease their space burdens and improve the functionality of several of our facilities. On behalf of my wife and I, we hope that this, in some small way, gives back to the people of Marshall County for their 36 years of support and patronage they have faithfully shown our family and our business. We look forward to continuing to be a partner in the rejuvenation in the heart of our community and in Marshalltown's downtown district. That comes from my wife and I, and we certainly hope that the other 2 supervisors vote to accept this and that our buildings and grounds and our courthouse facility can use it as they deem fit.
David, you stepped aside from the table here. Steve, can you take over then as chair?
Yes, I could. I'm just kind of at a loss of words here for just a moment. This is something I've never experienced before. So I would accept a motion to accept this real estate gift.
Mr. Chairman, on behalf of Marshall County, I move to accept this gracious real estate gift from Kathy and David Thompson. This gift will be a wonderful, helpful addition for our staff and the citizens of Marshall County for many years.
And I would second that. Is there any other discussion here?
Yes, this is Nan. I would like to say something first. One of the areas that we've been pressed more for space due to different law changes and things recently is elections. And this is going to just be phenomenal for what we're going to be able to do and actually be in one location with everything. Right now, we've got things in 4 different facilities, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that is not an efficient way to do things properly. I'll let Lucas speak on behalf of for Building and Grounds.
I mean, it's just an amazing opportunity to think that the facility that we had before is probably just under half of the size that what this could do for our department, and the ability to expand some internal processes. And I personally try to strive to handle as much in-house as possible. I think that saves the taxpayers a lot of money, and to have that much more room is going to be a quality savings as well. It's a phenomenal thing, and just that the graciousness of the Thompson family is pretty amazing. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's to both of you.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's just,
The timing for this is unbelievable.
Steve, we didn't hear what you said.
I said that the timing for this just couldn't be better. It it was evidently something that was meant to be.
Mhm.
We've thought about this a long time. We appreciate your comments. We have huge ties to the downtown. The surrounding communities in Marshalltown and their support of us has been just off the charts for many, many years. And like I read, this is just a small way of giving back.
Well, I'd
This
say
is
it's
a huge way of bringing back.
it doesn't seem small to me, no.
Well, for the 36 years that we have received support, that support has been huge and spread over many, literally decades. Yeah. This is a way we thought it could benefit all of the individuals within Marshall County because they have supported us.
Well, that being said, should we have a roll call vote?
Yes, Solosik,
Yes.
Thompson,
I must abstain.
Patton.
Yes.
Thank you both very much. Very, very much.
Okay, that motion is carried. Thank you for, we have some small details to work out. We'll get those done. On to item number 22 on our agenda this morning. This is public forum. It is a time set aside for the public to make comments of topics of county business other than those that were listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in public forum. Is there anybody that would like to make comments under public forum?
I can do a quick courthouse and insurance updates. Last Friday, we received the majority of the bids for the interior of the courthouse. There's a lot of phone calls we need to make and make sure everything's straightened out, but there's not anything that's really out of line from where we expected. So we should have, by the end of this week, some really solid projections at cost of rebuilding the interior of the courthouse. We have all the major stuff's in. There's a few small gaps we'll need to fill, but for the main part of it, we're going to have some good progress come up here real soon.
I think we also need to keep in mind that those bids went to the insurance company, not to the board.
Correct.
So it is not our job to approve them. It is the insurance company.
Correct. So yeah, with that, we have, we work in conjunction with our general contractor, but like you said, they are not our approvals to make. We will be, some of the bids will be Marshall County's responsibility, and what we've done is piggybacked on the project as in its entirety to save us money. So we will have a portion of that to pay, but it's less than what we would have if we'd have done it all, for sure.
Anything else? There being no other public forum announcements this morning, we're going to go down to item 23, which is adjournment. The next regular session is August 4th, 2020 at 9:05. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the County Auditor Recorder's Office or the Board of Supervisors Office by Thursday, July 30th, 2020 at 1 p.m. There being no further business come to the board, the meeting is adjourned at 10:24. There we go. Now it's official.
Dave, thank you so much for leading this meeting. This wouldn't have worked otherwise, so I appreciate it.
Enjoy your vacation. Come back safe.
We will do that.
We did get a little brief rain shower here about 10 minutes ago. I don't know how long it lasted or if you got any down to your place, but Bill and I got pretty excited about it.
I
But
think
it's,